Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Partido Podcast, the English-speaking podcast about all things Atleti. Today I'm, as usual, with Emmanuel. How are you doing, Emmanuel?
I'm doing okay, and you, Taha?
Very good, thank you. So let's get right into it. We're starting with the Huesca game as Atletico beat Huesca 2-0 at the Metropolitano. What were your thoughts about the game, Emmanuel?
I think overall it was a very good game, given that Atleti won 2-0, of course. But Atleti's performance was great, even though there were spells in the game in which wasn't the best, and the team kept going, sitting deeper, and Huesca had much of the ball. But overall, it was a very good performance from Atleti, keeping a clean sheet. Oblak making a fantastic save. Herrera having a very good performance. Lodi also was fantastic. And Llorente, maybe the best we have seen him in a while, and his connection with Trippier was just amazing. And also, we have Alvaro Fernandez in goal for Huesca, who was almost unbeatable thanks to a deflection which gave Atleti the lead, and also an empty net in which Carrasco just had to slot the ball in, and we had to beat him because he was really amazing.
He had an amazing game. In the first half, he had a double save to deny Carrasco and Saúl. The second half, there was the chance from Koke, in which at first you thought Koke really should have scored. On second viewing, it was a difficult angle to score from, so you can't fault Koke too much for it. But overall, I think he made like 9 saves. And it was an amazing performance from Alvaro Fernandez. But at the same time, like you mentioned, there were a lot of Atletico players who had an amazing game. Herrera, has become essential for the team when Hermoso isn't playing, when we're playing 4-4-2, as we need a player to, progress the ball with long passes. And he's doing that role very well. Some of the long balls we saw were very amazing in that game. And also he's doing a very good job in the middle of the pitch and allowing Koke and Saúl to get more freedom to attack. And that's something we haven't really seen in quite a while. It's amazing to see, to be honest.
Yes, more like Xavi, Iniesta, Gaucho, Herrera. Well, it's really good seeing Herrera perform in that manner, like controlling the midfield, switching the play, picking out the fullbacks. Well, his performance, or him being at the base, like you said, has freed up Koke and Saúl, which is really great. And that is all thanks to, maybe I would say, Cholo, because he has adapted to the players at hand. So many injuries, and what happens, he finds a formation that will suit the current players, and as a result, in the last 2 games we haven't missed Suarez goals, even though we have missed his presence in the box. So that was really fantastic from Herrera and the others like Lodi.
Yeah, and you mentioned Suarez, the absence of Luis Suarez. I think it was very clear in that game that we were missing a target man in the box. There were many great crosses. There were many great crossing up chances for the players, but it never really fell to a player in the box. And having a target man not only is very useful to convert those crosses, but also to get the defenders out of position, which would allow Correa or Llorente to have better chances at the edge of the box. And so I think Suarez, whenever he is available, he's just walking right into the starting lineup.
Yes, I will agree with you on that. And talking to about that, notice we have Dembele on the bench who can do all of those things. And I think you have covered much everything about missing the target man. I think we saw for Llorente's first goal against Aiba, in the fact that Koke made a run to the near post in the attempt to maybe have an effort on goal, but in doing that, he dragged two defenders with him, and Llorente had the space and time to score that goal. So that is something we have lacked. And without a target man, you notice in the game against Huesca, like you said, it was really evident that we miss Suarez, because in the fact that we have good crossing opportunities, and the fullbacks or maybe Carrasco and Llorente have to be patient for the players to arrive, because there is nobody in the 18-yard box, or you see them crossing the ball and no one there to attack it, or they are queuing up at the edge of the box, which makes it predictable, and playing across at the edge of the box was easily cleared away by Polido and Dimitri Sovias in that game. So, like you said, we really miss that target man. That is you usually said, that is the reason why Suarez is available. He walks straight into the starting lineup, and that is also the reason why I would love for Dembele to start. But I'm been happy with the minutes he has been getting. He's consistent now. Hopefully, he plays more.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Now, I think, like we talked about the great crosses and the great crossing chances we had. You gotta give credit to Lodi in that game. He was really amazing down the left-hand side, and it was, I think, easily the best game of the season we saw from Lodi.
I will agree. That's very true. I think that game reminded me of the preseason Atleti had when we just bought Felix, and you could see our fullbacks pumping up the pitch, and you see the midfielders, that was Thomas Partey at the time, playing those switches to pick them out and crosses into the box for Morata and Costa to attack. And that is something I have been looking forward to. That's 2 seasons now, and finally I could see in the game, even though there was no target man to arrive at those, to be at the end of those crosses. So Lodi, he has been fantastic, and it is down to the system in which Cholo is using now. Though I don't think it is so much different from when Atleti used 3-5-2. The only difference may be down to the personnel and maybe the roles that some of the players have in the team. When I talk about personnel, in the case of having Carrasco, Llorente, and Correa in attack, what happens? We have a lot of legs, we have so many runners, and on the transition, quick interchange of play, and we are very good at that. And also you have maybe Saúl more comfortable in that system, and like we talk about Herrera sitting at the base and freeing up Koke and Saúl. Then you have the fullbacks pumping up. So it is not more different from the 3-5-2, where we have the fullbacks pumping up the pitch, and we have Llorente and Felix or Correa acting as the interiors and the rest. So there's no much. I just think Cholo has maybe just stretching, and maybe it is now a 4 at the back, because you still have Savic covering up for Trippier when he goes up the pitch, and in this case Saúl maybe retreating a bit to cover up for Lodi should in case we are defending against a counter attack. So it is really great to see Cholo come out with this. It made him adapting and changing to the condition, and wow, it is working perfectly, because it is bringing out the best of the players, and that is evident in the case of Lodi and Herrera, and also Saúl.
Yeah, and it's great to see that much flexibility from the team in changing the formation. Like you said, the structure doesn't feel very different, but there is a big difference in the personnel on the pitch. When we have an attack of Correa, Carrasco, and Llorente, it feels like we are creating more chances. We're having the ball more, we're progressing it more, but at the same time we are lacking that finisher, that clinical striker in the box that can transform those half chances into the goals. And I think that's why Suarez starts. You could watch him and see that he's not a very effective player, but then he gets half a chance and he scores. And I mean, that's why we're just hoping he returns as soon as possible. Thankfully, he is training with the team right now, and hopefully he'll be available for the game against Athletic.
Hopefully he's available for that game, because I'm really thinking we are going to need someone like him. Because against Athletic, we will need to be precise. Every chance we get, we convert, and having someone like him will be great for that game.
Yeah, it's never easy to play a side managed by Marcelino. Now, Llorente, we gotta, give him just a segment talking about his brilliance this season. He's reached double figures in both goals and assists this season in La Liga, 11 goals and 10 assists. The first player to do so under Simeone, the first Atletico player to do so since Forlan. Just outstanding season from Llorente.
Yes, that's true. I think Zin mentioned on his Twitter page about the fact that how come someone hadn't brought out this attacking instinct in Llorente. Well, thanks to Cholo for seeing that and bringing that out. Well, he's very good, especially in and around the final third. He's not, when you check his stats, he's not the best person in possession. When I mean possession, I don't mean in the attacking third. I mean like maybe in the build-up and the rest, and maybe ball carrier. But in the final third, he's very effective on and off the ball. His movements, and on it, you see, like in the game against Huesca, he was like maybe toyed a bit with the Huesca right wing back, making as if he's going to cross the ball, and he feints and he falls, all those type of things. So I think he's very effective in the final third, and us getting the ball to him in the final third in the past two games has been a reason why he has really come to life. And lucky for us, there's Trippier in doing that, and their connection is just fantastic. It's as if they have a telepathic connection in which Llorente starts his run and Trippier already know that he has started and the rest. So having those two is great for Atleti. I don't have the stats, but watching Atleti games, you will see that majority of their chances and also goal scoring opportunities have come through the link up of Llorente and Trippier. They are a fantastic duo. They complement each other so much.
Yeah, I mean the Trippier Llorente connection has got to be one of the best I've seen for Atletico since maybe Aguero and Forlan. It's been that good. Maybe Koke and Costa in the 13-14 season. But other than that, it's up there, with the best. They complement each other very well, like you said, and just hoping we see more of that, in the rest of the season, and of course next season as well. Now, Dembele in the second half, he had a very good cameo, in my opinion. Can you give us your thoughts about that?
Well, I think Dembele doing that is just showing the Atleti fans and also Cholo what he's capable of. That means, like I've been singing on previous episodes, his link-up play, his runs in behind, and so many other things that he's very good at. I think he just needs to have more minutes, and we will have a very impactful striker. In my opinion, he can be that player Costa was in the 13-14 season, which Atleti won the league. Someone who is like a complete striker, because he's good at his link-up, his movement, his tracking movement to draw out players, to set up himself in good goal-scoring positions. I have so much praise for him because I've been following him for so long.
I mean, he has, against Huesca, he had a great game, but he's still really lacking in the box. He had a chance. He made a great run in order to get himself this chance, but he's still not showing, the finishing of this striker we need. And so I think that's why, Suarez is definitely starting ahead of him, just whenever available. I mean, it's not fair to compare him to Suarez, as he's by one of the best strikers ever, but at the same time you'd expect Dembele to finish some of the chances he had, and I mean, I'm hopeful that he is gonna do that in the next few games.
Yeah, I will agree on that about me finishing in the minutes he has had. You will also notice that he's having and let's say not an off season, but a season in which he has not played much. At Lyon, he didn't play much, and coming to Atleti, he has not played much as most of the games he has been on the bench. I would just say is that roughness in the fact that he has not had more minutes, and like we said earlier in the podcast, I'm happy with like I said earlier on the podcast, I'm happy with the fact that he's getting more and more minutes, and I think he will get to match fitness and chances like that he's going to be finishing like he did last season for Lyon. I'm not that worried about his finishing at the moment, given that I know he's not playing that often, even though him taking chances like that will also increase his chances of starting games or having more minutes. But I think I know there are not so many games left, but I am confident in him. Well, I hope I don't bite my words, but I think he's going to be a difference maker in one of the 6 games left for Atleti.
I mean, anybody stepping up in the next few games is definitely welcome. Yeah, you know, it's a very crucial time of the season. Now, moving on, Atletico will travel to San Mamés at the weekend to face Athletic Bilbao. What lineup would you choose for that game, Emmanuel?
Well, I think it's back to the question on who is available and who is not available. But as I think Atleti Francia posted, it seems like Felix and Lima may be available for that game. But I am skeptical of the fact that Cholo is going to start both players. So I think I'm going to maintain the same lineup we used against Huesca and Eibar. But the only difference will be that since Jose Maria Jimenez is suspended, I'm going to start Hermoso ahead of, say, Felipe. Because I think we are going to need that ball playing ability. I know Hermoso haven't played as in a back four this season, and he's very good as a left centre back, but I still think he can do it as in a back four that is a centre back Joey Savage, giving Savage like a general this season. And I also trust Savage instincts and also his, I would say, on-field coaching abilities to be able to direct him also maybe if he goes astray. So I'm sticking with the formation we use against Huesca and Eibar, which is a back four of Lodi, Hermoso in place of Jimenez, Savage, Trippier, and in midfield we have Herrera sitting at the base, and we have Koke and Saúl just ahead of him, and we have a front three of Carrasco, Correa, in the front three of Llorente, Correa, and many will be surprised, but I will put Dembele in for Carrasco. And I'm going to give my reason due to the fact that Athletic Club are one of the best pressers, have one of the best press in the game, and they always form a mid block, and which is very difficult to bypass, like we saw at the Wanda Metropolitano in a game in which we beat them 2-1. So having someone like Dembele will be great for us, given that in order to bypass that press at times, we are going to need to play long balls, and Correa isn't the tallest, but we know he can keep the ball well, and someone to win those first balls or maybe flick on to the runs of, let's say in this case, Correa and Llorente. So, and that is the reason I'm also taking him also ahead of Felipe, because his ball playing abilities will be on display, and we will not only rely on our midfielders to be able to switch play to the full backs, but we'll also have a centre back in which, should in case the Athletic Club player switch off and don't press him and there's a runner, he'll be able to pick that person out.
I mean, it appears that it appears that Felix, Lemar, and Suarez are training with the first team right now. We'll have to see if if Simeone is comfortable enough playing them, as it was expected that Suarez will be out for longer than that. But I think if Suarez is fit, he is gonna start ahead of Dembele.
I agree on that. I think like we said before, if Suarez is fit, he walks straight into the starting 11, given his killer instincts.
As for Hermoso or Felipe, I think it will depend if we are gonna play 4-4-2 or 3-5-2. Felipe is, as we saw last season, he's an excellent defender when playing in a back four. Not very comfortable when playing with three at the back. Hermoso, I think, he's not very comfortable playing in a back four, more so in a back three. So we'll see about that. But I think it's all connected, really. Saúl and Lamar, I think, are the only ones that you can switch between. But if we are not going to play Herrera and we're going to play Carrasco and Llorente and Suarez, then Hermoso is essential. But then we're going to have to sacrifice Lodi, who is in form playing in a back four at the moment. So there is a bit of a dilemma for Simeone to choose the next formation, really.
That's true, but it all depends on the personnel who are available, and also about how Cholo wants to approach the game against Atleti Club, and also to the fact that who impacts the game more, or who is going to have a greater impact against Atleti Club than the other. And I think those are questions in which him and his backroom starting themselves and angstring from now to Monday, which I think in the end he's going to make a very good decision. And even if he doesn't get it right, like we have seen this season, he's able to tweak things and make changes, or even change positions of players, and everything goes. So I think it is difficult from us, or from an outsider's point of view, like us, not saying we are not fast, but just meaning we are not part of his tactical staff, to maybe guess what he's going to go with, given that certain players do well under certain conditions, and you have to choose which is, don't want to use the word, but I would say more important, in quotes, given that all the players are important, but who has, like I said before, greater impact than another player against Atleti Club.
Now, moving on, we have reached the segment of the podcast where we will be talking about one of the Atletico players out on loan. This week, we're going to talk about Roro Riquelme. He hasn't played a lot this season, but Emmanuel, can you please give us your thoughts about that loan move?
I think the case of Riquelme is the same case as all majority of Atleti players who are on loan this season, in the fact that game time, and also due to the fact that I think sending a player on loan is for him to have the adequate game time and also experience about first team football, so that he can develop and grow. So him not having the necessary game time at Bournemouth is not ideal for the club. And he has had just 3 starts, one of which was in the cup, and he has scored just a single goal. But he's a player who keep working hard, and thankfully for us, his contract was extended to 2024. That means he can stay at the club. So I'm hoping next season the club sort out all these loan issues. And we all know Roro is a very technically gifted player, and on the ball he does so many fantastic things, and he can also play as a second striker. And those are so finding difficulties in Bournemouth in terms of position, given that he has been played in several positions, at times maybe as a second striker, at times outward. So hopefully the club maybe sort this out, which has been the issue this season with the players. So many players going out on loan, and many of them not playing. Should in case Vitolo goes, and I'm not a fan of Atleti maybe spending out the cash to buy some of these guys like Dybala, as we are linked with. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but I don't think he will be a first team player. So why spend on a guy like that? So maybe in case Vitolo leaves.
Once Felix and Suarez return, do they come straight into the starting lineup, or do we stick with the more mobile front two of Correa and Llorente? All right, now we talked about Suarez and his import to the team, so I think he is starting straight away. As for Felix, I think Correa is in a very in a very good form at the moment, so I wouldn't really start Felix ahead of him. What do you think?
I will agree on all what you have said. I think technically the answer to this question has been answered along the podcast, given we have talked about these players and the fact that it all depends on who are available. And if those Felix and Suarez are available, in my opinion, Suarez walked straight into the lineup, and maybe for Felix on the bench, like you talk about the case in which Correa is having a very good period in front of goal and also his overall contribution to the team. I know Felix is a guy, a game changer and the rest, but you will have to maybe work his way back into the team. And also his former injury, that means he may not be 100% fit, or maybe the player we saw in the first 30 minutes against Betis. So I will keep Correa in the team, and as for Suarez, he walked straight into the team because we all know how good he is in front of the goal.
I mean, Correa and Llorente are having a great connection. It is creating many chances, but like we said, we are lacking a target man, and you can't be a better target man than Suarez. Now, the next question is from Luke. In recent season, we haven't really made any effort to promote youth players from the B team. We know that there are players that could become great players in the future. Is there any hesitation from the club to promote these players, or is it Cholo's decision to call them up? Now, I think that is part of the problem we keep mentioning, which is we are sending players out on loan, but they aren't really getting the minutes needed to develop. And so upon their return, they're still not ready to be part of the first team. But also when Simeone is calling some of the younger players to the first team, he isn't really giving them minutes. So give us your thoughts about it, Emmanuel.
Well, I think Cholo, I'm not in Cholo's head, but in my opinion, what I have seen this season, Cholo's plan was for those players in the academy to have those minutes in the cup games, which wasn't great. Not just those players, but also players who are not playing often, and so also part of the B team, which didn't really turn out well given Atleti's early exit from the Copa del Rey. And also given what is at stake in La Liga, I don't think Cholo wanted to maybe take the risk of maybe rotating the squad so much, which has been an issue I've had with him this season. But so far it is working good because Atleti are top of the league. So I think it is down to the risk factor. But I think Cholo, in going ahead, Cholo will have to look for a way in which these players can have minutes. I think like in a game against Aiba, we're already winning 5-0, but it took so long to make changes. I think those are the time in which those players from the academy need to be having those minutes and the rest. I think maybe according to Luke's question, it is difficult to answer. And like you said, we'll have a podcast which will really be talking about why players haven't made the first team recently, like in the case of Saúl. And I think you gave one of the answers which was about minutes. So his question is really one that will really take us to answer.
Yeah, we'll go into much more details about this in a future episode, but it is an excellent question. Now, another question is from Dean. At full strength, do we start with 5 at the back with Carrasco and Hermoso, or 4 at the back with Lodi? I think we have discussed this, and yeah, I mean, it isn't really an easy question to answer, as it will really depend on what Cholo is trying to do with the starting lineup. But like we said, just that one small change is gonna have a very big change on the whole formation, because like we mentioned, Hermoso not starting means Herrera is starting. And those all changes are connected to each other.
Yes, and that is true. Like for example, Suarez wouldn't be really ideal in a mobile front three like we have seen against Aibal and Huesca, given that we need players who have legs, and Suarez is not the player he was, say, 5 seasons ago. So one change may change everything, because given we will play Suarez, we need to play closer to him, and that will result in changes like Hermoso for Lodi, maybe Lema for Saúl, and so many other things. So one change, just one personnel change everything. Like I said before, it's about the impact the player has. Maybe a player has a greater impact on the team than the other, and the results will change. So it is really hard to tell. Like you said, it's all down to Cholo. But I think if everyone is at full strength, Atleti play how they started the season, which was the 3-5-2.
Yeah, I mean, it is a sacrifice as Lodi is having a fantastic form. But yeah, I agree. If all the players are fit, I would return to 3-5-2. The next question is from Osman. Is there any progress on the Matias Arezo deal, the Gustavo Asensio, Marcos Polo, or Manino? And which area do you think Atletico need to strengthen more for the upcoming 21-22 season? Now, for the Matias Arezo deal, the president of his team said that negotiations are ongoing, and Atletico aren't the only team interested. And according to reliable journalists, Atletico are hoping to finalize the deal in the region of like 15 million euros, I believe. And for an 18-year-old, that is kind of a risky move. But if he meets his potential, then it is going to be a great move. As I heard, he is one of the most promising players in South America at the moment. As for Gustavo Asensio, we heard this rumor once, but the source wasn't very great. And we haven't really heard about it since. Though I would really love to see Asensio back, as he's having a great time at Famalicão, and we need more depth in the middle of, as for midfielders, in my opinion. For Marcos Polo, according to Fabrizio Romano, it is a done deal. He will join the team this summer as a free agent. For the rest of the question, what do you think, Emmanuel? What area do you think Atletico need to strengthen more?
Well, I think that's maybe an area, a topic which we will talk in the summer, because given at the moment we are more focused on how Atleti finishes the season and we need a league. But talking about areas of strengthening, like in the case Dembele is on loan, so we may need a striker. Like we talk about depth in midfield, having a Ashunkao back would be great, given the age profile of, say, Herrera and Herrera especially, and also his D coming to an end, and also Nguyen coming back to maybe fill in the gap in which maybe Felipe may leave. And like we have seen, we play 3 on the back, and having 5 centre back playing 3 on the back is not ideal. So that's really something to maybe talk about it more in the summer after Atleti may have won the league.
Fingers crossed. There are 6 games remaining, and we're just hoping the team can give their all in the remaining fixtures. The league is nowhere near done, and we are gonna talk about these things in the summer. I think the time being, I think just our problems are with depth. And more depth for midfield and for defenders, also for a backup for Trippier, as Versalica is always injured. I think those are, the main things we are going to go after in the summer. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and thank you, Emmanuel, for all your answers.
Well, hopefully, Atleti march on to the finish line, and thank you guys for listening. Nunca Dejes De Creer.
Remember, guys, Nunca Dejes De Creer. See you next time.
Yo me voy al Manzanares, al estadio Vicente Calderón, donde acuden a millares los que gustan del fútbol de emoción, porque luchan como hermanos, defendiendo sus colores, con un juego noble y sano, derrochando coraje y corazón. La 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 la. Atleti, Atleti, Atleti. pasión cuando quieras entender.